What's up, guys? It's been a long time. Real quick, just so you guys know, the merchandise is out. It is up. The Audible 484 store is open. We have shirts, leggings, backpacks, and the prices are not too much. I actually got them as low as I possibly could. If you guys are interested, it helps out the channel. It helps out me. You guys get something from it. Please check that out if you guys are interested. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'm pretty sure you can click in the top right of your corner right now. Please check those out. Helps out a lot. Thank you guys so much. So, the night I Jedi flipped. For those who don't know, Jedi Flip basically means ecstasy, acid, and shrooms at the same time. Granted, I didn't take them all at the same time exactly, but it was all within the same few hours. The night was September 25th, 2010. It was a rave in San Bernardino at the Nas Event Center called Nocturnal Wonderland. I think it was like the first one they had done since they came back. It was like the return, I believe. It was one of my first few raves. I had gone to a few before. Luckily, I didn't do this on my own. I did it with Danny Boy, aka Cronus. And back then, I had my ecstasy pills probably weeks before any rave I was going to. Like, I pre-planned the drugs I was taking. But that's basically all I had. I remember I was in total just rave mode. I was rolling balls. I remember the people we were most excited to see was Benga Scream. It was one of the dopest dubstep lineups you could think of. And this was like right before or right as the whole dubstep explosion, happened. And I'll forever remember the chant that they had, the MC kept saying. It was like, I think he was playing Jehovah, and he kept nocturnal, nocturnal. And ever since then, myself and Danny and the other people we're with will always be like, nocturnal. That's maybe not vital to the story, but rolling balls, the event is crazy as shit. I think it's one of the most well put together production wise events I had ever seen up until that point. I think this might have been my first time at the Nas Center, and it was intense, intense. And I was only rolling. I remember thinking, because they have a lake there, I remember thinking I wanted to jump in, and I remember just thinking all this craziness, and I was rolling so hard that I was at the point where if you take an ecstasy, there's eventually this barrier you just get past, and you're just totally in it. And that's where I was for a large part of the night. Myself and Danny, we went exploring. We ended up somehow talking to people on this little bridge that they have over the lake right there at the Nas Center. And there was a whole bunch of people sitting down, and I remember somehow, I don't remember exactly how, but I remember somehow we got into a conversation with this girl. And eventually, we started talking to her about psychedelics and stuff like that, and she ended up giving us some acid and some mushrooms. The mushrooms we didn't eat right away, but the acid, I remember we were sitting there wondering, talking to each other, should we take this dude? We don't really know this girl. But they seem cool, going back and forth with it, and then eventually, blah, we just took it. This was definitely one of the first times that I had experienced legitimate visual sensations at a rave. This was one of the first times I actually saw these visuals and was able to not panic and want to kill myself and die. This was one of the first times where I felt that acid feeling. It was to me, it was one of the first times I had ever taken legitimate LSD, and I can say that for sure to this day, that I remember specifically it being legit acid. Just the way it was making me feel, the way my mind was working, the way the visuals were. It was definitely, legitimate LSD. I remember specifically one moment when we were at the front of the stage, and there was this performance kind of going on the stage. There's always people dancing or crazy stuff, but there was this guy who was in this huge costume, all this crazy makeup, like a dragon, and he was there tripping people out. And I was fucking terrified, but in a fun way. I was sitting there watching, just in awe. I remember my jaw just being open and just could not get over how intense this dude looked on stage. and how real it felt. Like, I remember specifically thinking that I kept seeing like smoke coming out of his nostrils like a real dragon and shit. Like, it was intense. They had these lights that would go across like where you would walk in between stages, and they were like little orbs, like red, blue, green. And I remember thinking like they were fairies, and they were like kind of guiding us from stage to stage. And it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember too many moments, but I do remember those. It was one of the dopest, most fun experiences ever. Like I said, it wasn't like I was totally terrified and scared for my life like I was at Fuzzy Fest. This time, I was actually legitimately happy to be experiencing what I was experiencing. I think it might have been like the first night that I really fell in love with candy flipping. I remember, we ended up leaving. Not too late either. It was kind of early. Probably early for those type of raves back then. I think it was like 1:30 or 2 or something like that. We ended up leaving with who we went with. The whole ride home was fucking crazy. The music and the wind coming in from the windows was just like, it was the first time I ever really felt like that. I guess I call it the cool warmth that you feel when you're on, you really pass that barrier and you're just totally just in it. Like, I felt it throughout the night, and then in the car I felt it even more. It's just this overall sense of bliss and just contentment. That I used to feel. Anyway, so we don't go home with who we went with. We went back to another friend's house. They dropped us off there, and from there, I remember we just smoked a shitload of weed, and then we took some more ecstasy. I think we sniffed, we split a pill and sniffed it. And this was like probably 3 or so in the morning. So we're sitting there rolling balls and just just lit, totally lit. My homie whose house it was like asleep, I think, and it was just me and Danny there getting fucked up. We split that pill. We smoked so much weed. And for whatever reason, we decided to eat the mushrooms that we had got. Keep in mind, we had been up all night taking ecstasy. We just split a pill and sniffed it. We had been up all night. The sun was about to come up. And we ended up eating, I think we probably split an eighth or something like that, if not more. And we both went temporarily mentally insane. Danny a lot more than myself. I remember constantly checking my pockets, cleaning everything, and just constantly just wanted to move and make sure everything was on right, and I had all my stuff with me, and just tripping balls. Then the sun started to come up and things got fucking weird. Danny was over in the corner, and they affected him in a whole different way. He was in the corner. I think he had light show gloves. I'm not even sure. Maybe not. He might have just been using his hands. But he was sitting there, just rocking back and forth, doing light show stuff and mumbling random words and sounds, and just and I don't know if you've been to a rave and you got fucked up, you know that sometimes after the rave that fucking music will echo in your head for the rest of the night until sometimes the next day. And it was not echoing in his head, it was echoing out of his mouth. He was verbally making these noises and rocking back and forth and just gone. I remember it wasn't even weird to me though. It was I wasn't even tripping on it. I was he's just tripping, because I was tripping balls myself. Tripping so hard that I really don't even remember what I was doing. All I remember is checking my pockets, constantly standing up, cleaning the desk, stuff like that, and smoking a shitload of weed and listening to music, and that was it. I think I think we even played zombies, Call of Duty World at War Zombies. I think we did do that for a little while before all this happened. Before before we ate the mushrooms, some point in the night we did that. But eventually I started to realize shit, we gotta get the fuck out of here. This dude's parents are about to be awake. They come in here and they see Danny going, nocturnal. He kept saying that over and over and over too. And it was like, I started to panic and I was like, okay, we gotta get the fuck out of here. I called one of the girls who we went with, and I was like, hey dude, like we gotta get the hell out of here. I don't know why we came here. Can you pick us up and take us home? Like, we gotta get out of here. She was like, oh my god, like she's basically, I think she was already telling us like, let me just take you home or something like that. Anyway, she came and picked us up. At this point I was kind of a little bit coming back to life, a tiny bit, but Danny was still nocturnal. To this day I fuck with him about it. But she picked us up, took us home, and from there we just stood in my room. I think I put The Office on and eventually fell asleep, and that was that. So I legit don't remember too much because I was so fucked up, but it was probably one of the most intense experiences ever, you know. I'm definitely glad we didn't do it all at once, and especially at the festival. Definitely one of those stories that I had to tell. And I don't know what the moral of that story is. I would say just take your fucking time. You know, don't snort ecstasy pills and eat mushrooms when the sun's coming up. That's bad. So we were lucky for us to come out and be okay. And especially Danny, because Danny was legitimately psychotic in that moment. Like, had anybody else saw him, they would have taken him to the hospital for sure. And I really wasn't even tripping on it. I was like, he'll be fine. But yeah, so whew. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's been a long time since I did a trip story, but that was fun. Hope you guys are enjoying the daily videos. It's been fun. It's been amazing for me. Check out the Patreon. Check out the shirts, the merchandise. You can just go straight to the link in the description. But yeah, smoke something, drink something, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.